All right, so yes, here we are today with our little webinar. Today we're going to be talking about the pre-made flashcard decks, how to customize those pre-made decks, creating new flashcards, and then assigning flashcards, either the pre-made decks or your custom content. So first, we'll talk a little bit about the pre-made flashcard decks. We do have a selection of pre-made flashcard decks on various subjects that are available to add right into your atlas. And you can use these as they are, or you can adjust them to work for you and your needs. So I'm going to jump right back into the atlas here. This is the main atlas landing page. Probably looks pretty familiar to most of the people here. And the flashcards live in this newly named study tab. And if we click there, this is where you would go to get those pre-made decks and just to kind of review what we have available and if those decks are something that would be helpful for you. So here we have a good number of pre-made decks, actually a lot of them, on various topics. I'm just going to And to pull these into your account, all you do is click here and then click on Courseware or WebSuite if you have WebSuite. And that will automatically load that right into Atlas and then put it into your library. We'll just wait one moment for this to load. Okay, so it brought me right into the flashcard function. And the first thing that I want to point out here on this screen is this text here, because this is letting me know that I'm previewing an unsaved flashcard deck and that I need to save the deck to my account in order to unlock the full functionality. So of course, you can just preview this. If you don't want to save it, you can click through and see what the cards in this deck are. But you don't get that full functionality, which I'm about to show you. So in order to get that, just right down here at the bottom is the Save Deck button. And you have the option to either save an individual flashcard or the full deck. I'm going to go ahead and pull that full deck in to my account. And I should mention, this is how it would work for your students as well if they were opening up a deck that you had sent them or assigned to them. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Because this is a pre-made deck, it already has a name, so I'm not going to alter that at all. But I can add additional keywords if I wanted to at this point. So now it's asking me if I want to go back to the menu for the decks or to view this deck. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the deck and we can take a look at some of those added functionalities that we have. Okay, so with the flashcards, students or you or whoever's using them has a couple of options to customize how they want to interact with the deck. So here I can just change between the default order. I can decide if I want them to all be in a random order or to give them to me in order of difficulty rating. I like to stay on my toes, so I'm going to have random as my order, but not that much. I'm not going to do a timed deck today, but you do have that option to kind of up those stakes. And then once I've gone through a deck a couple of times, I'll have the option to review any cards that I missed. But because I haven't looked at this deck yet, I haven't had the chance to miss any of them yet. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click Start, and we can take a look at the card with the full functionality in it. So here, this is the front of a flashcard, and it's basically saying identify this structure. And if I want to flip the card over, oops, I click once, and then it will give me that definition. So then down here, I have the opportunity to say whether or not I got that correct. And if I did, I can say memorized. If I didn't, I can say not quite yet. Or I have the option to skip this card and move to the next one, which is to identify this particular tooth. And then again, if I click it, it will give me the correct identification. And so then you or students would move through the deck, getting things, right or wrong, hopefully right, and identifying whether or not you got those right or wrong. If you wanted to explore a little bit more about what's going on here on this view, the flashcard decks are still images. You can't rotate them like you can with the models in the atlas, but I can click on this Explore in 3D button right here on the top left. And when I do that, it brings me to this view within the atlas. So now when I click and drag and move, the model around, I can get that full functionality of the atlas. Click around, get other, highlight other areas and, highlight other areas and see what's going on around that one structure for that flashcard. And then when you're ready, just click here to return to the card. It's going to move the model back to that still view that the card started in, and you still have your same place, 5 out of 21 in your flashcard deck.
Kate, there is a question.
Yes.
If you have a moment.
Of course.
You didn't do it. I was typing in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to continue that and Kate can keep going?
Lay it on me.
It's better to say it out loud. Sorry, I was
okay.
muted.
Our institution subscribes to Visible Body Human Anatomy Atlas 2021. This is from Susan Fisher. My screen says version 2021.2.1. I do not see a study tab. I just have media, quizzes in my library. Is the flashcard feature not available in this version? Well, let's go to the version that in question here.
I could probably actually just answer that real quick. So Susan, if your institution subscribes via a site license, then currently, no, flashcards aren't available for site licenses yet, but they are coming and they're coming soon. I don't have an exact date for you, but that's at the top of the list. So those updates will be coming soon for site license versions, but currently flashcards are only available for Courseware and for our personal reference web app, web suite.
Thank you, Courtney. So as you're moving along through these decks, you'll, have that functionality and you'll be able to explore in 3D and then get back to right where you were in the deck where you left off. Up here on the top right, I just wanted to highlight some additional options that you have here. You can edit this deck, rename it, duplicate it, share it, combine with another deck, or edit an individual flashcard. Duplicate the flashcard or just share one card. So that kind of leads us nicely into the next section here, which is customizing your flashcard decks. So you can, of course, edit, rename, duplicate, combine, and share. So I'm going to jump right back into Atlas. And actually, at this point, I'm going to move into the main menu. And you'll see as I went to leave the deck, it's giving me this warning. Are you sure you're going to lose that progress? And all that's really referring to is these, whether or not you got these right or wrong, because the system will save and remember that so that you can go back and next time just do the cards that you got wrong in the deck. But I'm not too worried about that. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue here. All right. So here's that oral cavity deck that we were just working in. And again, here's that same list menu of options. And so that list, whether you have the deck open or not, is going to be available to you when you hit those, 3 dots. That's kind of your like customization button. So If you want, you can click edit, and this is how you would go through and just, remove a particular card. You can set the default order here just by clicking and dragging these around. Or you could say, we're not going to cover that structure. I would like it out of this deck. Down here, you also have the option to add additional flashcards, and I can search for cards to add. Or here's that canine. Maybe I didn't mean to delete that. You can add that right back in here. And then put back. Oops. Okay. So these are pretty straightforward to rename, to duplicate. It will just make another one a copy of that same thing. Or to combine the decks. But what I'd like to show you next is how to kind of customize your own flashcard and add that to one of these decks, or to even create your own deck completely. And to do that, we'll just go out to the views area of the atlas. And for this, you can start with any view of any structure or region, whatever you're trying to study. So let's go ahead and just pick view 1 of the muscular system. So for this, let's kind of make it a little bit custom. So I'm going to go into unique view, and I'm going to dissect down a couple of structures because I really want to be able to see inside. Oops. See what's going on in here. Maybe we'll get rid of that as well. So let's say this is the view for whatever reason that you want to be on your card. Once you're ready and you have the model in at a particular angle that you want the image to be for your card, you can click the flashcard tool down here at the bottom center. And as you can see here, I am now out of the atlas. If I click and drag, though, I still have the opportunity to manipulate the model. So this is my last chance, though, to reposition or zoom to fit the flashcard. Once I do that, it will be a still image, like on the cards we were just looking at. So now here, I have the option to start on front or start on the back. And I'm going to just go ahead and click start on the front. So now I have my card. I have these editing options here. I can add a label. And I'm just going to go on this tooth here, and I want the label to kind of be down in this white space down here at the bottom so it's easier to read. And let's say, I don't know about y'all, but back in the day when I had like those index card flashcards, I used to try to put as much on a single card as I could. And you can absolutely do that here as well. So, you don't have to do just one structure per card. You can do as much as you want. You can add a drawing. Let's add an arrow here just to add more color and life to our flashcard. And you can use any of these draw tools, whether it's just the pencil, we have an arrow, a straight line, a nice box here. Let's do a red box. And then when I'm done using that draw tool, I just click on it to toggle it off. And then if I want to add text like a question, so maybe this isn't just an identifying structure card. I want to make it about something more in depth. I can add text to add, a question prompt to ask myself every time this card comes up. Today I'm just going to put, what is this? But you can put in there whatever works for you or for the subject that you're studying. From here, we need to work on the back of the card. So up here on the top right, I'm going to click flip to back. And here, you'll see those drawings are no longer here. Those were only for the front of the card, but I do still have these labels here. by default, they don't have the structure listed inside, but when I go to click here, I can double tap to edit and I can type it in. Or you can use this auto label tool here. If I toggle that little button on, it'll say, need help labeling structures? Absolutely, I do. And I'll click yes here. So now instead of tooth, I know that this is 19 molar first left. And note, if you do move this little dot here to a different structure, that will update because the auto label feature is on. So you can put that anywhere here and you'll automatically get the label for that structure. Same for this one. I'll turn that auto label function on. And then here on the back of the card, if you wanted to add text again to remind yourself of the answer or for whatever reason, you can add that text here. That is a tooth. Perfect. Genius. It's going to be great. So now that I've got this information and I've got my card exactly as I want it, I can go ahead and click Save Flashcard down here at the bottom right. And we're going to rank this in terms of difficulty. And this is, you saw earlier, you have the option to go through a deck based on difficulty. So here you have the opportunity to say, this is a really hard question. I want to be able to go through only my hard questions. So this is definitely something I want to put in as a hard question. Or, and I think this one's more likely for what I've created here, we're going to make it really easy because my question apparently is whether or not these are teeth. And then here, if you did want to find it later, you could do, let's say molar, and then maybe mastication, so that I could find this card later down the line when I'm making a different kind of flash deck for a different topic. Here, I've got to give this a name. So I'm going to name it molar third wisdom. And then I can choose to add it to a deck, existing deck or not, but sure, I'll add it in and I'm going to click save here. Okay. So now it wants to know what deck I would like this to be added to. And I will go ahead and add it to the oral cavity deck that we were working on and that we pulled in. This is that pre-made deck that we pulled in together at the start of the webinar. And I will click save to that. So now my flashcard deck has been updated. So I will jump back here to go to the menu and go to study. And then here, if I open up my oral cavity deck, actually, let me open it and we can edit it. Then we can see the new one I added, which is right down here, the one on the bottom. But because it is clearly the most important question, I'm going to make it be right here at the top of the order here. Molar third wisdom. Perfect. So what if I wanted to create a brand new deck?
Hey, do you mind answering a question before you start that? Okay, sorry to interrupt. So Glenn has a question. When you share a flashcard with someone else, can the recipient change the degree of hardness on their deck?
Yes. The recipient would need to save that deck to their Atlas account, but they could absolutely go in and make those edits as they were going along. You can set it to be whatever you want, and that'll be what it is when they open it up for the first time. But when they save it to their account, it becomes theirs. So they'll be able to make changes that better suit them. Any other questions while we're paused?
Not that I can see.
So let me just make sure I covered all of these things that I said I was going to talk about, and I did. All right. Next,
we have a late breaking question. This is from James, who missed how to share a deck, and I don't think we've.
No, so let's say
So
I want to
James,
give.
no, so sit tight. We're getting there.
Yeah, assigning is coming up.
Yes. So there's a couple of ways to share a deck. One is just to send it directly by clicking that edit, those 3 edit dots. I can click share deck. And it's going to think about that for a second. And then it's going to give you this link here. So I can take this link and give it right to Jen. And she'll be able to use it, click on it, and it will load the deck automatically into her atlas. It's the same as clicking on one of these links in the pre-made deck list. It's just these links we've posted here, but you're creating your own link for your own custom deck that you can share in the same way that we are sharing these with you, if that makes sense. So again, that's right here in this edit options menu, where you can go ahead and share the deck and then do other things like combine or reset your progress for that particular deck. If you did want to make a new deck, that function is right here, and it will give me a list of all of the different individual cards that I have. And this is when those keywords are really going to come in handy here, because you can do a search by keyword. Let's see, molar. So now I know, because I just made this with y'all, I have a molar third wisdom, and I put that in as the keyword. So I can find that and add it to my deck. And let's pretend we're doing lots of molar stuff today. So I'm going to use all of these and click next. It's going to give me the opportunity to reorder these if I want, and then add more if I want. And then I can name it. I'm just going to name it today's date for now. And then put a keyword for molar. Right. So here's that deck, and it just has those few cards. Oops, I meant to click on the actual deck itself. And again, for anyone, if you weren't here earlier, this is where you can do those things where you can change the order to do it in the default order that it was set by the person who made it, or changed by you when you saved it to your account, or if you want it random, or again, by that difficulty level.
Okay, we have a couple more questions when you're ready.
Perfect. Let's hear them.
Okay. So sort of in addition to the original question about how to share a deck, the question is, if I were to assign this and wanted to check the decks developed by the students, how would that work? So as the recipient, as the instructor and the recipient, how would I check their work?
So as an instructor, and I'm going to go right now into assigning flashcards, I'll show you how that works on the courseware side of things. But if a student were to make their own, let's say you sent a student a flashcard deck and you wanted them to make changes or update it and send that back to you, they would, the easiest way would be for you to assign it to them through courseware, which I'll show you how to do next. And then they could save that to their Atlas account, make the changes as needed, and then generate a link using this share deck function here to send that back to you. And they can send that in, however they submit other assignments, or just email the link to you, whichever works best for your class. So now that kind of moves us nicely into the courseware side of things. But Jen, you did mention there were a couple of questions, so I want to make sure that.
And forgive me if I missed what you said, but so that link that a student would send you, you'd have to put into that share link icon, correct? You'd have to paste it into the share link icon in order to see what the student did.
I'm not certain. Let's try it. Because that is how it works for the tours. Is it the same for the flashcard decks? I actually hadn't tried that yet.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
If you try it in a URL, I mean, sorry, in a browser tab, it doesn't work.
Oh, like if you go just here and
Yeah,
then
exactly. So they'd have to be within the app
to enter that in.
to enter that into the share link.
Well, thank you for saying that, because
Yeah.
I would have said it wrong. So
sorry, there is another question, if that's okay.
of course.
Can you print out a list of your flashcards, such as putting it in a folder?
Like of all of the cards that you've pulled into your account?
Right. So
like the individual cards.
List of your, yeah, I guess. So the question would be, can you generate some sort of word only list? And I don't know that if there's that capability or not. We can definitely look into that.
We can check. I don't believe there is. If you wanted to look at the full list of flashcards that you have in your account, you can look at this list right here rather than the flashcard deck menu. But there isn't really a way to pull these all into a Word document. No, not that I'm aware of, but we can certainly check. Jen, if you'll take note of who asked that question, we can follow up.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And then I also wanted to, whoops. So sorry. There we go. Okay, so sorry, I lost my train of thought. So I also wanted to show where you would copy it or paste that link in here in the Atlas. So I'm just going to go into any view, and just like with sharing a tour, that share link is right here, and this is where you would paste that in to have it bring you to the deck that we just made. So yes, you do need to have that share link in order to, so when your student sends you the link, you'll open up your Atlas, click this share link icon, and paste the link that they gave you here to review the deck that they shared with you. All right, any other questions before we jump into courseware? All right.
Not right this time.
Sounds good. All right, here we go. So
wait, nope.
Yes,
there's one.
Right under the wire. So this is also from Glenn. Can you share multiple links at the same time or individual links?
So you can choose to share a link for, or generate a link for an individual card, or to generate a link for a full deck. So depending on what is generated, will change what opens when you populate that link. Does that make sense? Because you can share either the full deck, or if you go here to flashcards, and sorry, I'm syncing now, sorry.
He actually clarified. How about if he wants to send 3 decks at the same time?
You can send 3 links. You can either combine the decks into one deck and then send the link for that deck, or you would want to send individual links for each deck that you're sharing. But if you have courseware, you can assign the decks right in courseware. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think that will probably make all of this
a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So here I have just a sample course, one of our pre-made courses here, and I'm going to create a new assignment for this course. And because the flashcard deck that I saved is in the Human Anatomy Atlas, that is what I will select for my content source. And then click Continue. And then here, this, menu should look pretty familiar in terms of the, headers that are over in Atlas. And right here we have our flashcard decks. And I can take a look at all of the decks. And then here is the custom one I made. And here's the pre-made one that we edited together. And I would like to assign both of those, even though they're pretty redundant. But I'm still going to assign both of these to my students today. I always like to point out when I'm on this assignment screen, the green text that says 2 assets selected. If you navigate it away to some other random view, you can always check whether or not you have anything selected for an assignment. Even though, you know, those cards that I selected aren't in this preview panel anymore. So once I have those assets selected that I'd like to assign, I'll click continue up here on the top right. And I'm going to call this flashcard. I can choose to have a due date or a release date here if I wanted. And then for now, I think I'll just put this in getting started, and we'll put it right in that top folder, just so we can find it quickly. You can add a description here if you want to, or publish this assignment directly from this menu, or just save it as a draft. So now your students have an assignment, and I'm going to go back. Here's that getting started folder and the flashcard assignment. This assignment has each one of the decks inside of it. So that would be a good way to share multiple decks all at the same time within a single assignment. You would just have the students click on each of these, and it will launch them into the Atlas where they can interact with it. And those are the basics on how to pull in the pre-made decks, how to kind of edit those pre-made decks, reshuffle them, or to kind of create your own custom content and share that either with your students as an assignment or just as a link that you can populate within Atlas.
Kate, would you mind walking through that again, that process of creating an assignment?
Absolutely. So, so here I am in my course on the list of assignments. Up in the top right is the Create New Assignment button. First step is always to select your content source. And because the deck I made and the flashcards only exist within the Atlas, that's kind of our only option here. So select Atlas as your content source, and then continue up on the top right. Okay, then from here, I just need to select the actual content that I want to assign. We'll select flashcard decks, and this time I'm going to select this lymphatic system deck. Check that I have an asset selected, one asset selected. Click continue here on the top right. And then we can name it. All right, and then the main 2 things on this page to pay attention to is to name the assignment and then choose where it goes. And again, I'm going to put this one in the Getting Started with Visible Body folder, so I know where to find it. And I'm just going to go ahead and save this draft. Here I can preview what the assignment's going to look like, or I can go to my list of assignments, open up the Getting Started folder. Oops. And there's the 2 flashcard assignments we just made, and lymphatic flashcards is right here. Super simple, super simple. Any other questions coming in?
Well, there was another question about grading flashcard decks. And I think that the idea behind the flashcard decks is more for preparation for graded quizzes. So
yes, absolutely.
You might want to elaborate on that, but I think that it's not at this point thought of as a graded assignment.
Right. The idea is you would assign these leading up to a graded assessment. And I always like to point out these icons here in Courseware. This icon is telling you that the assignment here is going to send the grade automatically to your grade book. Anything else that just has one of these 3 line icons those are just, you're not going to get a notification that the student has completed or interacted with it. But if the student doesn't do so well on the graded assessment, it's a good indication that maybe they didn't go through their flashcards or look at the 5 quick tips or whatever other assignments you put in on the folder.
Another question popped in, if that's okay, from James.
Yes.
So the question is, do I need to make a copy of the deck before I can assign it? Or can I go directly to the pre-existing decks? And I'm wondering if maybe there's some confusion about the process of making a new assignment. It's not so much copying a deck, it's more selecting the pre-made deck that you have in your custom content. Is
right.
that what you're thinking? Kate?
Yeah, so if I understand the question correctly, you would want to first either make your own deck within Atlas, using that flashcard tool, or pull in and edit one of the pre-made decks. Once you have that saved here in your Atlas, you'll be able to assign it through Courseware. You do have to pull it in and save it into your Atlas account first in order to be able to assign it through Courseware. Does that answer the question? Did I understand the question correctly? Hopefully.
Looks like that answered the question.
Okay, yeah, good. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of different decks. I don't really like to reinvent the wheel. So if it were me, I'd pull in one of these and maybe make a couple of edits or tweaks. And then kind of go on from there. And then, I mean, you can just build on this content. And that's what I love about the My Library, the custom views and all of that functionality that you have here in Atlas is, as once you've made something, you'll always be able to reference back to that thing and kind of build on it, add it to a different deck, use it for different courses or to understand different subjects. Yeah. Once you get rolling, the sky's the limit. And were you going to say something, Jen?
Oh yeah, no, I just, if we go back to that pre-made deck area in the study tab, one thing I find helpful is if I'm searching through my decks, I can put a structure right in the search field. Oh, so if we go back to the pre-made decks
this
page, yep, right here. That search field, search for flashcard decks, if I put like heart in there or something, I found it easier to find kind of subcategories of things that were pre-made.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I just decided I want this flashcard deck in my account. So yeah, that's a really great tip to sort through, because there is a very long list of decks that we have, to find one with the specific content that you're looking for. And again, even when, and I mentioned this earlier, when your students click on the assignment, so let's go back to Courseware, when they click on this is what it's going to be like for them when they get that deck for the first time. They'll see this and you'll get this text down here. You're previewing an unsaved flashcard deck that was shared with you. Please save to unlock full functionality. So if the student will need to click Save Deck to their account in order to get all of that, like saving and all of that functionality. Save deck, heart conduction, save, and then view the deck. So in order to get this where they can choose the order, do by difficulty level, set a timer, have the system remember which cards they missed so they can go back and run the same flashcard deck again to review the cards that they missed. It has to be saved in. So when a student clicks into this, it's going to have that workflow where they need to save it into their Atlas account for them to be able to interact with it.
And Kate, I think that's also true with instructor sharing to another instructor. If
Absolutely.
you're not the owner of the deck, then your first move will be to save it.
Yes.
Once you receive it.
Yep. Whether it's one of our pre-made decks, whether a student sharing it with you, you're sharing it with the student, or any variation of all of those.
We also have another question.
Good.
Glenn would like to know, can I print out the flashcards on paper until it becomes available on iPhone or iPad? And I'm not sure I know the answer to that. Do you?
So there's no direct print functionality within the app. You would have to, and this would be a pretty tedious process, I think. You would have to take screenshots of both the front, you know, kind of prompt part of the flashcard, and then a screenshot of the answer, and I suppose print them and pair them together, and you would need to do that for each one. So
and
it's,
of course,
it's possible.
You wouldn't have the Explore in 3D functionality.
Right.
But the web atlas, if I'm not mistaken, you can use the flashcards on the web app, or excuse me, the mobile download version of Atlas. Am I wrong about that?
I do not believe that they are
We don't have those yet.
available.
Not yet.
It's only on the web for now.
Okay.
Right, exactly. They're coming.
Yes,
That's
they're
right.
coming, but we pushed it out for the web first. So we usually, you know, do it in batches.
All right. So yeah, so soon we'll have it available on the mobile. There isn't really a great way to bulk print a flashcard deck, but as Courtney said, there is a workaround if you really wanted
It's
them
not
on
a
paper.
great one, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to get feedback and ideas, so we'll make note of
Absolutely.
those.
All right.
Okay, it looks like all the questions that I see so far. Does anyone else have a question they'd like to throw at us?
I'm just going to kind of go and make a new flashcard while we're waiting, just in case
Sure.
people wanted to see that happen again. So I'm in any view here in the Atlas. I'm going to move them all around here in the view, click this flashcard button, and again, adjust that final view, start on front, add my label. Oops. Draw and add text if I want to, flip to back, tell it to auto label. Yes, please. And then save. Close, no cigar. There we go. And save. So that's just a really fast how to quickly make one with just the number, oops, on the front, and then the structure, name, ID on the back.
All right. We have another question.
I knew one would come in if I gave a little time.
From Glenn, who says, who asks, on Courseware, can the students submit their link on an assignment versus sending it via email?
So the way the assignments work, they don't really submit back to you. So no, there isn't really a way within Courseware for students to submit assignments to the instructor. You would want to do it either by email or through your LMS. They could submit it as homework, or if your class has like a Dropbox situation where students can submit their homework, they could put it in through that way. But as of now, Courseware doesn't have a way for students to send assignments or submit assignments to the instructor. All right. Well, I mean, I hope everyone just gets in, opens up their atlas and starts playing around and make some fun decks to share with your colleagues, and just have some fun. If there's, unless there's any other questions.
Not right now.
And Jen, Courtney, is there anything I completely forgot to say that we should touch on before we let these fabulous folks go?
I don't think so, but if just a reminder that if you want to, kind of revisit everything that Kate demonstrated today, I'm going to be sending this recording out as a link tomorrow morning, along with a couple of follow-up items from today. And if you have any questions, about making flashcards, hold on, wait, is there a way for instructors around the country to send each other flashcards?
Just by sharing that link. So here, I'll show you real quick. I'm going to go to my study tab here, and I'm going to click on the deck that I want to share with my instructor friend in California. Just click on,
Just one thing to add. I think perhaps, Glenn, you might be thinking of sort of like I think Flashcard, Quizlet does something similar where they have this big bank of shareable flashcard decks. And that's kind of not how this is designed from what I can understand. It's more, if you know someone and you want to share it with them and you have their contact email, then you share it. Otherwise, it's not a big shareable bank that at this point.
No, but Glenn, if you did want to make an epic deck and send that to us, we might be able to use that and post it here in our pre-made decks. That might be a way that you could share your deck with anyone who would benefit from it.
Wonderful. He's working on it.
I'm looking forward to that, Glenn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. So I guess just keep an eye out for the email that I'm going to send to you guys tomorrow, and don't hesitate to reach out to our wonderful engagement team if you want a personal one-on-one kind of walkthrough, or reach out to your rep if you have any other questions. We're here to help.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.